Hey everyone, welcome back with Being a Mac, where today we're going to continue our playthrough of WWE Smackdown. Here comes the pain with Kane. It looks like we got some good news. Let's see what that's all about. Shot at a championship, okay. World heavyweight title, alright. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Of course I'm going to challenge. Alright, looks like we might be doing something with Vince McMahon here. Oh, he's being arrogant, but who knows? Maybe we'll actually do a storyline where we're with Vince McMahon here. But before that, it looks like we got something going on in the ring here with these divas. Oh, geez, the the freaking diva beauty contest, of course. Kane will be tonight's judge. Alright, I think that's enough talking. Let's see some hot action. Starting with Victoria. Ooh, oh my. Oh, this is so ridiculous. It was WWE at the time, so it's definitely accurate. Because I don't really understand why this stuff had to make it into the games. Look on his face. I was about to pass out there. Okay, now it's time for our next lovely contestant, Trish. Ooh, I'd do anything to get my hands on that. Surprised they're not in like bikinis or something. At least they didn't make, special outfit models for that. Although I think they do have those. Oh my god, look at the face on JR. JR, I can't take this any longer. This is a close contest. Alright, let's let Kane decide who the winner is. Well, I am the judge, apparently. Oh my god, look at that smug face. King, I think you're forgetting you're on the payroll right now. So, Kane, who do you think is the winner tonight? I don't know, I guess I'll go with Trish. The winner is the lovely Trish. Thanks a lot, King. This really means a lot to me. Hey, I'm the one who said you won. Let's get another round of applause for our winner, Trish. I don't know, I guess this is the phase where she wasn't using Stratus anymore or something. I don't get it. That was one slobber knocker, folks. And thanks for joining us, Kane. What do you want? That's some backstage interaction. Usually it's Jericho. Now it's someone different. Shelton Benjamin, S-Benj. Let's see what's going on here. Is it any different? You know, Trish, I was watching your match the other night. It seems like it's the same thing. You were there in your bra and panties. It's just an image I haven't gotten out of my mind ever since. And the other night at the pay-per-view, just the way you won your match. I mean, you looked like such a woman. And I'm sure you saw my match. I mean, just being in the ring and all the physical interaction, it makes me feel like such a man. Alright, where are we going with this here? And I was just wondering a few moments ago if maybe, just maybe, you'd, if we could get together tonight. Oh geez, not even a date, just to get together. See here, we'll do the face option here. She may do beauty contests, but she's still a human being, damn it. Thank you, Kane. Who the hell do you think you are? You've gotten in my way for the last time. I'm gonna beat your ass. Oh, we got an impromptu match here. Yeah, I'm not doing so good. Was Earl Hebner just here the whole time witnessing all this? I think he was hoping, I don't know, maybe when we're fighting, he's hoping that he's gonna get away with Trish or something like that. Man, he's not going down easy, that's for sure. Damn. Forgot how much these guys reverse you in this game. But we are back on Smackdown difficulty here, so. I expect, if I remember from last playthrough, I pretty much expect every finisher that I pull off to be reversed. Except for, like every 3 finishers are going to get reversed and then I'll get one off or something like that. The rule of third. We could cheese it and just go on the treadmill, but I don't know if I could get away with that. Let's see here, so I do have to break that wall to get to the rest of the area. Oh goddamn it, I wasn't able to get out of the way. Alright, I think we just gotta do it one more time. It's amazing how we had to break down an entire wall just to get through, get to the shower area. Thinking we could just like open that door or something, but maybe it's locked. But yeah, I mean, to get to the shower areas in the Smackdown series, it's just, you gotta break down walls and everything. It's crazy. That's how it was in Smackdown 2 to get to the shower area. You had to go to the fitness center again, like the training room or whatever, and you had to break down the wall. Although admittedly in this game they do have the crack in the wall, so you kind of have an idea. So hopefully we can win the title here and things will go my way. We're not going to face Triple H, unfortunately, because he's on the Smackdown brand, and I was planning on trading myself over there, but you know, things are not working out that way. I tried to do it on the first show, but then we got ourselves embroiled into a feud of sorts. And if you're wondering, this is actually the second playthrough of Kane. So I already did a season with Kane, and here comes the pain, a full year, but I did a really terrible job. I got a few shots at the title. I think I got like 2 or 3, and then I lost the Royal Rumble as well, and I just was never able to, you know, quote-unquote finish the story. So this is my redemption run with Kane, and of course we're playing on the highest difficulty at this point. Last week we got hard to kind of get warmed up and stuff, but this is year 2, May, and honestly, you know, if you ain't know anything about wrestling, you start in April and you go all the way, I shouldn't even say wrestling, if you know anything about WWE in these games, you start in April and then you go all the way till March at WrestleMania, so this is only episode 2. Man, I cannot get a move in edgewise, it seems. I love how it's just got all those pictures of the divas in there. Whose lockers are these? Probably Vince McMahon's. He's gonna be pissed when he finds out. Alright, I think we got him though. Is there Earl Hebner even moved at all from that position in this match? Usually the ref is like in your face and he'll just like get in your face and you'll accidentally kick the shit out of him half the time, but I guess backstage, you know, they know what they're doing. So now it's actually time for our official match of the night here, of week 1. We're taking on John Cena here. Interesting to think that when the time of this comes out, he'll be in the middle of his retirement tour. I think he's got, I don't know if he's ending at WrestleMania or if it's going to be like literally at the end of the year, but this is his last year. And, man, it's always just sad to see, you know. I'm only 26 and stuff like that, but I remember growing up watching John Cena. I remember the majority of people hating him and all that stuff, but you know, this is such a, you know, this was his early career, seeing his young look, and he was still jacked and brolic, as some of the kids might say these days. But now to see him come back and he's got a freaking bald spot, man. Even when he was kind of winding down in 2015 and he had his US title run and stuff like that, it kind of didn't really click to me that he was geez, speaking of wrecking in the way. Telling you, man, Earl Hebner just will not stay out of the way in these games. But yeah, I just remember in 2015 when he was on his US title run, and it didn't really click to me that, like, okay, he's winding down. This is pretty much like, you know, his match with Seth Rollins is about the end of his career as a full-time guy, as a top guy. And in my mind, I was just thinking, all right, this is just his way. He's going to take a break or something like that in 2015 from the world title picture to push some new guys, and then he's going to come back and he's going to kick some other, he's going to win the title again, stuff like that. That didn't happen until recently. I don't know, I definitely, you know, my old, even my email to this day is still called, because I mean, when I was a kid, WWE Cena hater for life. I don't actually hate him anymore, but I actually have a lot of respect for John Cena. That said, I do, I think I've talked about this maybe in the last episode, but like, he's definitely a guy, I got in arguments with people online, because there's people that argue that John Cena is the greatest of all time. I guess there's an argument for that. I'm not going to deny that fact, but I think Stone Cold, The Rock, and Hogan were just bigger draws. And, you know, Hogan, he had the longevity, and just like Cena, you know, he had his spurts in which he wasn't very popular, but I feel like Cena, you know, he came out, he was popular with Dr. Thuganomics, and then once they gave him that big push, I think he was the first guy. Well, I shouldn't say that, because Hogan was, you know, where they kept pushing him and people didn't want to see him. after a period of time. And I think with Cena, though, I don't think there was ever that period of time during his main run in which he eventually, you know, won the fans over. It was only after he left when fans were like, he was a lot better than we thought he was at the time. And, you know, that's just the case. Sometimes you don't know what you had until it was gone, but I don't know. I feel like you still look back at those times, you know, the PG era, the Ruthless Aggression era and stuff like that with Cena, and I just always think, you know, you got Kurt Angle, you got Triple H, Batista, you know, I think they were all much better than Cena. Even Randy Orton at the time, who I think Randy Orton is better nowadays. And at the time, I think he was really good as a heel, but I don't know. I think compared to some of those other guys, Edge especially, and Rated RKO, I think Edge was definitely the clear better guy there, just because I like, you know, the entertainment and the promos and stuff like that. And I really liked Orton in the Legend Killer phase, but, you know, after that, I don't know. I mean, I guess I kind of liked him when you had that crazy phase or something like that, but oh boy, I gotta win in no less than 3 minutes. Okay, so this is just like the RVD storyline I failed in. So this might be the end of my world title push here, folks. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Oh god damn it, it's Animal. If it was like Tajiri or something. If it was John Cena, I think I could actually beat him again. Tajiri or like a cruiserweight, Steven Richards. Okay, this might be the end here, folks. But back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Yeah, I think there was just a lot better people at the time in the Ruthless Aggression era than John Cena, so it was kind of annoying to see him get a push. Well, others got shafted down the card. You know, Jericho obviously was there at the beginning and stuff. And I don't know. That's how it is when it comes to top guys. But like, I feel like with guys like, you know, Stone Cold and The Rock especially, like you can make your arguments about The Rock nowadays. But with Stone Cold, I mean, he was just, you know, both of those guys were just so universally beloved. And I think John Cena created this idea that it was okay for the main guy of the company to get booed. It didn't really matter and stuff like that, you know, and then eventually Roman Reigns, he would get booed when he was pushed, but I feel like Roman Reigns is actually the counterpoint for that, because obviously not a lot of people still think he's good, but I think the majority of people who watched, you know, still consider him the guy. He looked like the guy, he acted like the guy, he talked like the guy, and, you know, once he turned heel, you know, I think he made a good argument after the fact, and you can see why he was being pushed to begin with it. But then, you know, when he was a face, obviously he was given all the corniest lines. He was trying to be like a second John Cena, and he couldn't pull it off, and it was just a disaster. But like, you know, it's just you have to have the right presentation, and to a degree, I mean, honestly, it worked as Dr. Thugonomics, John Cena. So I mean, we've seen Cena could work as a top guy. He just had the wrong presentation. So I get that. But that said, I mean, your top babyface should not have mixed reactions, you know. Sure, the kids love him. But that said, I mean, I hate the idea, and there's some people that really do buy into it. And if you do, you know, that's your opinion. You know, let me know down below in the comments. You know, we can have some debate about it, you know. But there really are some people that kind of buy into stuff that I think WWE has created. And I think that's kind of like, you know, what they're going to do with pretty much every top guy at this point, even if they're not universally beloved. Like, you know, for example, I feel like, you know, I haven't watched modern wrestling in a while, but I feel like Cody Rhodes, he definitely has his detractors online, and that's just natural. Like, there's people that think Stone Cold, they'd rather watch Lance Storm than Stone Cold. You know, there's always crazy people out there. And, but that said, like, I feel like Cody Rhodes, you know, from what I've seen, and I could be wrong, I haven't watched too much, but like, I don't know, I'd be surprised to hear if like Cody Rhodes was going and, you know, out and he was getting booed every night just for showing up and stuff like that, like Cena and Reigns were. But you guys will have to let me know down below in the comments. And obviously that wasn't happening with Stone Cold and The Rock, and you know, they made a lot of money. And the argument for Cena also is he was around for a lot longer than them, and he was carrying the torch and stuff like that. The way I see it is like, you know, people were buying tickets not necessarily to see Cena. Like, obviously there was a large portion of the audience that was doing that, but I think there was also a large portion of the audience that kept going there. Like, I was in an argument with a guy and he said, like, people were paying to go boo Cena. No, he's not the heel. I don't think that's exactly, like, he was trying to kind of change words and stuff. I feel like people who didn't like Cena, they were going there despite Cena. They wanted to see the Kurt Angles. They wanted to see the Triple H's, the Edges, the Randy Ortons, the Batistas, the Eddies and stuff. Well, I guess they weren't all on the same show, but you get the idea. And with Cena, like, I don't know, I've heard things, I don't know how true it is. I feel like people like to make things up online. Apparently, like, they kind of manipulated the merchandise, in which, you know, even though some guys could theoretically sell more t-shirts, you know, WWE kind of prevented that by, you know, just putting out more Cena merch than, like, other characters, you know, other wrestlers merch and stuff like that. And I don't know if I entirely believe it. I can believe it just in the idea of, like, okay, Cena's our top merchandise seller, so obviously he would have more merchandise at the, you know, the shows and stuff like that, so people, you know, have more to buy. But that said, I feel like, you know, if you're shopping online and stuff like that, I would imagine, you know, it's kind of like an equal opportunity kind of thing, you know. But I don't know how that works. I also heard the argument that Cena didn't hold anybody back, like Triple H and Hogan and stuff like that did. I think almost everybody except maybe The Rock that I've heard, who was the top guy, has held people back. And who knows, I mean, maybe we'll find out, at some point The Rock did hold some people back, you know, especially now that he is in charge, so he definitely has that kind of stroke. But, you know, like, obviously Hogan, he held a few people back. You can make the argument Jake the Snake could have gotten a bigger push if it wasn't for Hogan. There was also, you know, with Bret Hart, apparently he didn't like the Patriot, Del Wilkes, and apparently he, according to Duke the Dumpster Drosy, I guess, like, he kind of said that, it seemed like Bret Hart was kind of talking to him as if he was a top guy and he could have done more in the business, when, you know, it seemed like, you know, Bret had his best interests at heart, but really Bret was just kind of ramping him up and stuff. I don't know how true that is. But, you know, Bret, obviously, I don't think he held too many people back, but I think it's definitely a case of, you know, obviously the Patriot, him and the Patriot didn't get along well. I don't know what the entire story on that, why that was the case. Maybe the Patriot was just an asshole, I don't know. Then Stone Cold, obviously, he didn't want to work with Mark Marrow. He didn't want to work with Jeff Jarrett. And then, you know, The Rock, like I said, I can't really think of anybody, but then, like, you know, there's Triple H, and, you know, there's a lot of arguments for that. Booker T, I think, is the biggest argument. And then, you know, John Cena, apparently there was rumors, and once again, I want to say rumors here, but apparently there was a big deal in which Mickie James was dating Kenny Dykstra, who was supposed to be kind of, apparently as someone who could have been a potentially big deal at the time. And John Cena stole Mickie James from him, and then just, I guess that was just the end of Kenny Dykstra's career. He got released soon after, and there was talk about how John Cena held him back. So, I mean, that's a really shitty situation for Kenny Dykstra. And would Kenny Dykstra become a main eventer? I doubt it. I wasn't impressed from what I saw on the Spirit Squad, but, you know, especially during the Ruthless Aggression era, you know, people, they kind of got like 3 months to get over on TV, and if they didn't, to the degree that the Office wanted, then they were just kind of shafted down the card. But there was also the Tyler Rex situation, in which Tyler Rex used the Death Valley Driver as a finisher, which was similar to the Attitude Adjustment, and I guess, I don't know, he said that Cena pulled him aside one time and talked down to him like a child as to why he can't use that move, and that might just be, you know, Rex's recollection or something like that. I don't really know. Maybe he just felt disrespected and maybe he was upset. Who's to really say? But either way, Tyler Rex also was not going to go anywhere, so I wouldn't say he was being held down at all. And then, you know, there was Alex Riley, in which apparently nobody knows what the hell the deal was, but there's a lot of people that say that Cena did hold Alex Riley back for, reasons nobody really knows at this point. And then, of course, there's the entire Nexus storyline in which, I wouldn't say, all 7 of those guys were going to be big deals or whatever, but obviously I think Wade Barrett could have been a much bigger deal from the Nexus storyline if, he didn't get embarrassed at SummerSlam. And even Justin Gabriel, I mean, he was I was a big Justin Gabriel fan, and the issue with that is like maybe I don't think he would have been a main eventer or anything like that. Wow, that match was a lot easier than I thought, I'm not gonna lie, folks. But I'm not gonna say that he would have been a main eventer, but you can clearly tell by looking back at that time that the 2 people that were trying to push was Wade Barrett especially, and then Justin Gabriel, and the fact that Cena kind of took that away from both of those guys who were, they were supposed to be the 2 survivors on the Nexus team, and Cena just, shot up after getting DET'd on the freaking concrete and winning the match after. I mean, come on, man, that was just, even Edge and Jericho were like, dude, what the hell are you doing? So Cena's definitely held some people back in his career, so not to say that, because like I said, everybody pretty much has held people back or said, I don't like this guy, I don't want to work with this guy, yada yada, but, even I neglected to mention Shawn Michaels. I mean, a bunch of people that he held back and stuff too. It's just kind of, it's a good thing that it seems like that's less and less of a thing nowadays, at least from like, wrestler perspective, so, it's obviously still an office thing nowadays, but that said, I mean, the argument for Cena not holding people back, I mean, the argument is there, they definitely did, I think, if the rumors are to be believed, and especially the actual Riley thing, I've definitely heard that quite a few times. For the arguments in which, Cena made more money than Stone Cold, I don't think so, because Stone Cold had the best merchandise, and, the guy was I was arguing with was kind of grasping at straws here, saying, oh, well, people aren't going to wear the corny Cena shirts, but they'll wear the Austin 316 shirts because it's a simple shirt. It's like, all right, you're really grasping at straws here, man. I mean, come on. Like, honestly, I think the John Cena shirts are cooler than some of Stone Cold shirts. Obviously, the Austin 316 with the skull is definitely the coolest, but to say that, I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of chicks wearing John Cena shirts. I've seen a lot of kids wearing John Cena shirts, and if he's selling all this merchandise, man, obviously people are wearing that stuff or, putting on their walls or something like that, But I don't know, I feel like Stone Cold was just a guy, and obviously it was due to certain circumstances, but he kind of didn't really wear out his welcome, even when he was doing, silly nonsensical stuff, with like Eric Bischoff and being, the sheriff in town and stuff like that, GM. It was always entertaining and fun. Stone Cold's just an entertaining guy. But that said, I mean, maybe if Stone Cold was around for maybe 5 years longer, we would have a different opinion on him. I don't know, but I will say this, Cena, people got tired of Cena pretty much right away, I feel like, almost as soon as he won the title. He also tried to make the argument that Jeff Hardy, because it could have been, should be the greatest of all time if it's based off of popularity, which I don't agree with, because there's a lot of people that say, and I am curious to look at the numbers and stuff like that, but I don't believe that Jeff Hardy in 2009 was the most popular wrestler to ever exist, even if it was a short time, just because he was popular at the time, don't get me wrong. But that said, I feel like, people talk more about the summer of Punk and what could have been in 2011 than people talk about, Jeff Hardy in 2009 and what could have been. I definitely heard that Jeff Hardy could have been, the next big megastar and stuff, and that just wasn't going to happen. Maybe on Smackdown, but like he wasn't going to outshine John Cena in that regard, even if he wasn't, having personal issues. I don't believe that for a second. But that said, I think there could be, I don't know, I don't think the argument can be made for Jeff Hardy being the most popular of all time in 2009, even if he was gaining a lot of momentum and steam and could have been, definitely a big star in the WWE if they had really run with him. But it's tough too because, obviously WWE expanded after the Attitude Era, and they got more markets and all that stuff, and they were making more money after the Attitude Era. But you know, there's things you have to kind of take in consideration. You know, obviously, you know, with more eyes on the product, you know, John Cena could theoretically be considered more popular. However, if Stone Cold had that chance, you know, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. And plus, you can also just see the overall ratings kind of dropped a lot more after the Attitude Era. I mean, honestly, the popularity of wrestling as a whole went down after 2002, when a lot of those Attitude Era guys started to leave, and obviously we had the Invasion Era, which, you know, drew a lot of fans out of here. So it's definitely a lot to be, you know, I don't think there's a definitive answer to who is the greatest of all time. But, you know, John Cena, I definitely have to agree. He's definitely top 5, at least in my opinion. But I don't know. I think I think Stone Cold, Rock, and Hogan are just undisputedly higher on the list than him. And I could kind of make the argument of, you know, Undertaker, because of just how long he was around. You can make the argument of HBK, because even though he wasn't very popular in his initial run, when he came back in 2002, I mean, that guy could practically do no wrong. And he still showed he was an amazing heel when, you know, his feud with Hulk Hogan and the whole teasing Bret Hart coming back and stuff like that. That is one of the greatest swerves in wrestling history, I gotta say. But you guys let me know down below, who do you think is the greatest wrestler of all time? And it could be WCW, it could be WWE, it could even be ECW. You guys let me know down below in the comments who you think is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Because I went based off of popularity, essentially. Stone Cold at the peak, you know, Hulk Hogan at the peak, The Rock. But if you judge, you know, pro wrestlers on their actual skill set inside the ring, you know, that's fine too. Just, you know, explain the reasoning as to why that is. And if it's Lance Storm, you're getting banned from the channel. And when I say that, I mean, like, not who your favorites are, but who you think objectively are the greatest wrestlers of all time, you know? And like I said, it could be, you know, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, HBK, Bret Hart, Undertaker, Ric Flair, you know, any of those guys. Could be WCW, could be ECW even. But, I don't know, like, if you think Lance Storm is the greatest wrestler of all time, I don't know what to do with you, so. Lifetime ban. Man, he's actually kind of, these guys are a little harder than they were in the handicap match. I don't know, that was just really super easy, but I'm also glad that it was like a tag one too, but I think this is it. I also wonder how, like, these guys are picked. You know, because, like, I would have loved if it would have been, you know, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, and it would have been like, okay, pick a team or whatever. But, like, even in tag team matches, they never pick teams. So that's one of the frustrating things about this game. But I don't know. This is usually a lot of people's favorite season mode and stuff like that, and I don't blame them. There's a lot of storylines I'm still discovering, but just like Championship mode, No Mercy, it's definitely got its issues. But I think I've gone over that in my other previous videos. But yeah, there we go. I love that choke. Probably the best chokeslam animation in any game ever. I had to send Rikishi a message before a match. But man, imagine, man, only 3 matches on the card and I'm in all of them. Imagine just like being told, you know, you're Kurt Angle or Triple H and you're about to go out there for, you know, a world title match, you know, WWE Championship on Smackdown. And imagine just being told, sorry, we only got 3 matches on the card, and 2 of them are going to, actually 3 of them are going to Kane. And he's going to be taking on Charlie Haas and Tajiri tonight. So thanks for coming, guys, but there's not enough room for you on the card tonight for a WWE Championship match. Or a tag team match. This would be like the worst pay-per-view card of all time. But I don't know, that's kind of one of my issues too, is I wish it was more like they had just more like matches on the card, so that way, you know, especially guys that wouldn't get booked otherwise would have a chance to go up the card. I don't think there was ever really a perfect season mode in the series. Obviously, superstar points, I think, great idea in theory, but it's just an execution. I mean, like, most of the time, you know, the champion just dominates because he has all the superstar points, and, you know, then it's like the same 3 guys you're facing as champion. But that should be different here on Raw here. I mean, the fact that Rikishi is the world champion should tell you everything about the kind of competition I'm going to be facing, though. I kind of screwed myself over. Like I said, I think it was last episode, I put all the guys on Smackdown and I was going to just transfer over. I don't know why I didn't just transfer over at the start on Smackdown. I don't really know what I was thinking, but then eventually I got pulled into a storyline and won the hardcore title. And so that kind of, you know, put the kibosh on me going over to Smackdown, where literally all the talents are and stuff. But I think Triple H won the WWE Championship on SmackDown as well. He beat Batista for it, so if I can get over on SmackDown somehow, then that'll be definitely the ultimate redemption, is beating Triple H for the WWE Championship on SmackDown. That said, though, if I pick up this belt, I have no intention of losing it. Jesus, he's counting slow. Man, what an asshole. But not all is lost. I mean, he hasn't even touched me yet, so he's got to do some pretty crazy moves and start doing some crazy reversals if he's going to beat me. Just wait for him to get back up. I kind of forget. I don't think they do, but do they have create a pay-per-view in this game? I think they may have gotten rid of it in this title, and then they brought it back in SmackDown vs. Raw. And I think it's either 2007 or 2008, I think, was the last game that had created a pay-per-view in it. And like back in, obviously we have universe mode now, but like back in the day, that was how you created the feeling of like having an actual official show and stuff. Still a cool feature in the Aki titles. Thinking of actually, you know, starting to do like, you know, shows and stuff like that, and like WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy and stuff like that, like full-on cards. But that said, I mean, like, just the way those matches work, you know, one match could be like 5 minutes from submission, and then the next match could be like an hour long. You know, could be freaking Edge versus Headbanger Mosh, and that would be like an hour on like Monday Night Raw. And it'll end in count out and stuff, so we'll see. Oh, alright. Can we get him? A little anticlimactic, but we got him, folks. Not going to push my luck, though. We're going to taunt. And being cordial, but I'm not allowing that. Look at how upset he looks. My goodness. Yeah, imagine being the special ref and still failing, man. This isn't the first time they've had Vince do this. I think the most notable one is SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, in which he beat Santino Marella when he counts like extremely slow. But that said, folks, thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out next week's episode on Wrestling Wednesday. But above all else, please remember to have a nice day.